Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about a piece of tech that is completely changing how our buildings, well, how they breathe. It's an all-in-one system for heating, cooling, and ventilation that promises to make the spaces we live and work in smarter, greener, and a whole lot more comfortable.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we've got to understand the massive energy problem our buildings are facing. Then, we'll look at the industry's big push for green standard. And finally, we'll dive deep into the VMF technology that's changing the game, from its incredible efficiency to, just as important, how it actually feels to be in a room it controls.
Okay, first things first. Let's talk about the buildings we spend so much of our lives in. You know, they look sleek and modern on the outside, but they're hiding a pretty massive secret when it comes to energy.
Yeah, I mean, we see these incredible glass facades and we think progress. We think the future. But what we don't see is what's going on behind the scenes. The demand for power just to keep these places running is, well, it's enormous.
So you might be wondering, where's all that energy actually going? Well, have a look at this. The single biggest culprit, the #1 energy hog, is the very system that keeps us all comfortable, HVAC. You know, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. It absolutely dominates a building's energy use.
And here is the number that just might blow your mind. In a typical commercial building, up to 55% of the entire energy bill is just for climate control. Think about that. More than half of all the power a building uses is just to manage the temperature and the air inside. That's staggering.
Now, an energy footprint that big, thankfully, has not gone unnoticed. It's actually sparked a global movement. We're seeing this huge push for buildings that are simply smarter, more efficient, and way more sustainable.
And because sustainability is becoming such a high priority in the world of real estate, we're seeing this boom in green building certifications. It's because everyone, from investors and developers to the tenants themselves, is demanding greener, healthier spaces. A really key player in this whole movement is EDGE. It's a certification from the World Bank's International Finance Corporation, the IFC. And what it does is it gives developers a clear, numbers-based way to measure and improve a building's efficiency. It helps them chase really ambitious goals like becoming net zero carbon ready. So to meet these tough new standards, and to do it without completely breaking the bank, the industry needed a real leap in technology. And that, my friends, brings us to the hero of our story today, the VMF system.
Honestly, the best way to think about this leap is with the analogy you're seeing right now. Traditional HVAC is like the old days of carrying around a separate phone, a separate camera, and a separate music player. The VMF system, well, that's the smartphone. It integrates every single one of those functions into one smart, sleek, and highly efficient package.
And here it is. This is the Damvent VMF system. It's a single, self-contained unit that's designed to replace what used to be an entire room full of separate, conventional HVAC equipment. And this graphic just brilliantly illustrates its power. We're talking about a total climate solution. It handles space heating and cooling, provides all your hot water, manages ventilation with 100% fresh air, controls humidity, and even runs its own integrated energy management system. It's the whole shebang, all from a single intelligent hub. Okay, so let's get into how this all-in-one approach leads to some truly incredible efficiency gains. It's time to take a look under the hood.
You know, the numbers really do tell the story here. When we look at seasonal efficiency ratings, that's SCOP for heating and CER for cooling, VMF systems can reach levels as high as 6.16. Now, to put that in perspective, a traditional multi-unit system usually tops out around 4.0. That is a huge jump in performance. And that elite performance is exactly why a single VMF unit can help a building project meet 8, count 'em, 8 distinct energy efficiency measures under that EDGE standard we talked about. We're talking everything from cooling and heating efficiency to smart metering and using better refrigerants.
This diagram gives you a fantastic bird's-eye view of the whole system in action. You can see the VMF master unit right there in the center, acting as the brain. It connects out to all the conditioned rooms and to the buffer and hot water tanks. It really is the central engine for the building's entire climate. So, how does it all work? Well, it's a pretty clever 5-step process. First, it pulls in 100% fresh air. Second, and this part is genius, it recovers heat from the stale exhaust air and uses it to pre-treat the incoming air. Third, its integrated heat pump gets to work heating or cooling water. Fourth, that perfectly conditioned air and water are sent out to the rooms. And finally, Its smart controller is constantly optimizing the whole process for peak performance.
Now let's zoom in just on the cooling mode, because this is really smart. This diagram shows how the VMF unit uses both the warm air from outside and the return air coming back from inside the rooms to maximize its efficiency. This two-pronged approach dramatically reduces the energy it needs to cool everything down. But look, raw efficiency numbers are only half the story. All this technology is great, but what does it actually feel like to be inside a building that's running on a VMF system?
Well, for starters, this is what you see inside the rooms. Instead of those noisy, bulky fan coil units or cassettes blowing air all over the place, you get these really sleek, active, chilled beams, and they deliver perfect climate control silently and efficiently. And this diagram shows their little secret. The preconditioned fresh air enters through the beam, and through a process called induction, it gently draws the room's own air across a water coil. What that creates is this wonderfully consistent temperature, but without any of the annoying drafts that you get from traditional systems. So the result is what the designers call the feel-good factor, and you can see why. You get a superior indoor environment. It's completely silent because there are no fans inside the rooms. It's healthier with a constant supply of 100% fresh air. And it's even safer because there's no refrigerant circulating in the occupied spaces, only water. So when you put it all together, what does this technology mean for the future? How is this going to change the way we design, build, and even live in our buildings? It means that for the first time, we can create buildings that really do check all the boxes. They can be incredibly energy efficient and sustainable, hitting those tough green targets, while also being healthier, quieter, and just plain more comfortable for every single person inside them. You know, this all-in-one approach, it represents a major shift in thinking. And it really begs the question, in an era of smart technology everywhere, why are so many of our buildings still relying on a climate system that feels like it's stuck in the past? Maybe, just maybe, the future of our buildings depends on a simpler, more integrated solution.